It's the spookiest time of year, everybody. And what am I not talking about, Mason?
Tax season.
Correct. It's just Halloween. Woo! It's coming up. It's not tax season. I mean, in some places it's tax season.
How many regions around the world do you think it is tax season?
Let me just quickly do a quick Google.
If you
Mason,
could, tax season ending October 31st in Australia. Get those TRs in. That's right. I'm talking about tax returns. Get them in. Talk to your tax guy. Do it yourself. Do it on the app.
Absolutely. Oh, New Zealand, October. That's interesting.
Maybe, I don't know. Do it on the tax.
Do it on the
tax office website.
Do it in the tax app.
Do it in a taxi.
That's a great idea.
If you're coming home from the club, do your taxes in the taxi.
Find me in the club doing my taxes. Find me in the club. What am I doing? I've just got a series of, I've got my paperwork laid out on the floor. The floor's sticky from all the drinks that have been spilled.
My receipts went out the window of the taxi. Taxi man, can you turn your taxi around? I got to get my receipts.
Anyways.
I mean, I can show my bank statement, but it's not the same, especially if I get audited.
Yeah.
Mr. Taxi Man.
It is weird. I think it is worse in other countries in the world where they make you do your taxes, and then if you're wrong, they're like, now you go to jail or you're wrong. It's like, well, if you know, why am I doing it?
As I understand it, in the UK, you don't have to do your taxes. Like they're just done for you.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So harder to find loopholes.
That's very interesting. Why are there so many rich toffs in the UK? They were like, ugh.
Great question.
I'm frail because my parents were siblings.
Because it's fun to do that. It's fun to hold your hands like that and go, ugh. Ugh.
Very good. Anyways, Mason, Michael Halloween is back, and this time he lives in a gutter or something. We'll talk about it. Also, he's mad or he's indifferent. I don't know.
He's certainly frail.
Yeah.
And maybe magic.
Maybe he's magic. Now, the opening weekend.
Tell you what, though, that town sucks. Haddonfield's the worst.
The worst,
Don't
right?
move to Haddonfield.
Nah, it's even worse than that town with the spooky clown. At least that town has got a magic clown fucking it up.
Right?
This is just a dude.
Some dude.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And also, if the clown is there, if you believe in yourself enough, you can beat him up with a tire iron. So
that's right.
This guy, you got no chance unless you have a gun, in which case you're probably fine.
But even then, yeah. So this is, despite going to streaming also, is looking to have a $50 to $60 million US opening.
Interesting.
Which
So this is
pretty
available.
Phenomenal.
This is available in cinemas most places around the world, on Peacock in the US.
Yeah. Australia, it's for the moment, it's only in theaters, but
Yeah.
Enjoy
the theatre experience.
That's what I'm saying. You get 6 chalk tops.
Do what I do. Show up on a Tuesday morning.
Yeah,
There's nobody
exactly.
there. It's just
that's
yourself.
what you want to do.
That's right.
Get in. I love a Thursday morning myself.
Scrape all the popcorn off the seats. It's all yours.
Yeah, definitely. So this is actually looks like it's going to open ahead of Halloween Kills.
Interesting.
I guess the brand of Halloween has not diminished in the eyes of the Lord. So
and
that's
also,
good.
I think that there has been a lot of, maybe it's just our awareness of it, but I don't think it is. I think there's a lot more horror content. Like that's a genre where you don't need a lot of money.
No.
And I think a lot of, not everything's a Marvel multi-$100
You get a
million
smile.
Well, exactly.
Or
Not everything's a multi-$100 million blockbuster. People can just have an idea and go and get some friends and a small amount of money and kind of work it up. And I think a lot of, I think maybe a lot of people are like, I'm into horror now because that's good and it's fun and there are good ideas. And I think maybe it's translated to this. It's like, well, I've seen a bunch of horror movies and there's a new Halloween and that's the classic. So
good as any.
So this is the second reboot, right?
This is the second reboot.
So the original was 1978.
Yep.
Then there was a bunch of sequels. Then
Rob
there was
Zombie.
a Rob Zombie remake. There was 2 Rob Zombie movies.
Yeah, but I think H2O wiped out some of the previous ones.
Just Add Water, sure.
Just Add Water. And then there was the Rob Zombie ones.
Yes.
And then they ended.
And so this new reboot
Yep.
is a sequel just to the first movie for people who are
Yes,
catching
but
up.
this is the third of the new reboots.
Yes, it is. That's true.
So
Yes.
if you're going by this continuity, there's the first one. There's Halloween again in 2018, I want to say.
Halloween again in 2018. It's
Halloween Kills, the one where the town goes mad or whatever.
That's right.
And then Halloween Ends.
Yes.
Where Halloween maybe it ends or whatever. Anyways, I wish there was somebody here, and maybe you can help me with this,
Go on.
who could tell us what the story was.
All right. Do you remember the last 2 Halloween movies?
Yeah, I know, sort of.
Okay, so in the first Halloween movie
Yep.
of the reboot, the second reboot.
Okay. Should have got it Halloween.
Wait, in
With a dollar sign.
1979, Shalloween.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a real shallow reading of the Ween discography. I think those guys are great. Anyway, could make some of those songs these days. At the end of the first Halloween, 1978 Halloween.
Yeah.
So in that movie,
Good movie, by the way.
yeah, it is good.
Yeah.
Michael Myers.
You might be like, oh, it's dated and whatever. Look at all these tropes, but it invented a bunch of that
That's
shit.
true.
Yeah.
Escaped psychopath Michael Myers, The Shape.
I think his name's Michael Halloween. But go on.
Okay, Michael Halloween. He gets out there in Haddonfield and he mucks it all up and he kills some young people and some teens, but he doesn't kill Laurie Strode. And then,
but why?
It's a great question, which is explored in some of the sequels that are no longer in continuity, so it's none of your goddamn business, James.
Okay, sorry.
Right?
Sorry.
And then flash forward many, many decades.
Yep,
and at the
there
start
was the Rob Zombie reboot.
No, we're skipping those.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Keep flashing forward.
Yeah, so we're flashing forward a bit more, but not too far.
No.
Because then we get to after this movie we've just seen, and that's too late.
Yeah.
And nobody would understand what's going
I
on.
don't want that.
So I'll flash a little bit back to 2018's Halloween second reboot, where the premise is that Michael Halloween was captured after Halloween in 1978, and he's been in a mental institution for decades, or a prison.
Laurie Strode's like, this dude's going to get out.
That's right.
And I hate podcasting.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then he does get out and he kills those podcasters and then some other stuff, but it's largely irrelevant because I was just so steaming mad.
Evil dies tonight.
That's right. And then, but it turns out, twist, that actually Laurie Strode had prepared for him.
Yeah.
And her daughter and her granddaughter are prepared, and they muck him up.
Yeah.
They get him real bad.
Yeah.
And then we're like, nice, good capper to the Halloween. Not Michael Halloween, though. Not Michael Halloween, though.
Just regular Halloween.
Regular Halloween.
Yeah.
And then they were like, hey, what if instead of this being the capper to this franchise, how about we squeeze out 2 more sequels?
Yeah.
And so there was the last one, which was just filler to this one.
Yeah.
And now Michael Halloween's in a cave or something, or in a pit or something. He's in the sewers.
I did think at the start, like, because it's 4 years. They jump.
Yes.
I was also. We'll do some non-spoilers and then we'll.
Anyway,
do
he's
spoilers.
back and he's still around.
He's sort of back for some of it. I was surprised by that Judy Greer was actually dead. I didn't think they would go through with that. Yeah, she was stabbed, but I thought she was going to come back and be like, now I'm Laurie Strode now, or whatever, and I'm mad and crazy.
See what happened. See what I believe happened, and I don't know if you have that data here or if you can remember it from last time we talked about this. The Halloween 2018 reboot, I believe, was supposed to be a standalone.
I think you might be right.
It was supposed to be a standalone. There was obviously a little tease at the end because you cannot not do that with horror movies. The idea being that there was some evil in Laurie Strode's granddaughter.
Yeah, okay.
Because remember, they were leaving Michael Myers he's in the burning house.
Yeah.
And the assumption is he's died, but not really. Wink.
Wink.
And then it was like, has the trauma affected Laurie Strode's granddaughter as well, and maybe they'll be back. And then I think what they did was they said, okay, based on that, we've got enough plot for a sequel, but what if instead of just doing a sequel, we do a filler movie and then we do a sequel? So I think what Halloween Ends is a sequel to the 2018 Halloween, because it does share elements, I think, like speaking of the idea that the granddaughter is going to go, the trauma has affected her mind in an odd way. And I think that's what this is. Like, I think you could very easily skip the middle one, and you should, and just go to this one. I don't think it really affects.
I think you can't,
because the Halloween Kills really, it did the John Wick 3 thing where the characters pretty much besides the death of Judy Greer's character, it's pretty much the same.
I mean, you get some appearances from people who are in that movie.
Yeah.
There's the woman who and her husband was murdered, and she's in a wheelchair now, and there's like little nods towards it. But yeah, I liked this more than the last one. I think
definitely.
I don't think it's great.
Okay.
But it's certainly more interesting than what they did the last time. But I think in a few years this is, if you've seen a bunch of these, this is one of the better sequels.
I think so too.
But there's been some not very good sequels to these.
But
movies.
I think if they skipped the last one, they could have very easily had Judy Greer's character killed like the first kill in this.
You're right, absolutely right.
And any of the other sort of ancillary characters could have been killed at the start or towards the middle somewhere, and it wouldn't make any difference to the plot kind of thing. So yeah, he's back.
Did you? I didn't buy that Laurie Strode had moved on.
Yeah, she's in this movie.
And I guess she hasn't really.
No, she starts life. She appears to be when we see her, she's in a much better place. Seemingly, she's very kind of happy-go-lucky.
Normal house. She's writing a book.
She's flirting with the sheriff.
What an awkward pair of dorks standing together in the supermarket. Right. Him with his comb over and he's. Just get a haircut, mate. Just trim it back. What are you doing?
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing? Okay. Yeah, I like that guy too. He was in the movie Armageddon, I believe.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But I did like the idea that there is still this kind of this like communal madness in the town.
Yes.
This man has broken the psyche of so many people.
I think they just bulldoze it.
Yeah, I
put up
agree.
apartments, I reckon.
Yeah, exactly. Or just a big car park. You know?
Oh, yes.
Just a huge
next town, car park for the next town
car
over.
park for the next town, exactly. So it opens though.
The shuttle service from where you park to the next town.
Absolutely. So it opens with there's not what you'd say it's a traditional killing. So a babysitter is involved. So I can spoil this, I guess.
I think so, yeah. Just to be clear, also, if you're not on board with kids being killed,
God damn, yeah,
in a particularly brutal way, not even a horror movie way, just in like a domestic
Very
accident
upset.
kind of way.
I have like nightmares about like dropping my kids down like a flight of stairs. Like it was just horrendous. So yeah, so he's babysitting
a new guy,
and
Corey is his name.
And I don't understand because they're watching the thing, and they got to the moment where the thing bites off the guy's hands at the wrists, and he's like, "Oh, maybe I should turn this off or whatever. Maybe this is a bit rough." But how do you get that far into the thing,
Great question.
past the dog head splitting moment, and go, "Oh, actually, this is a bit rough."
Maybe you're on your phone.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, but I think it was a pretty interesting opening.
Yes.
So it kind of. I guess this is a spoiler.
But
Michael Myers isn't necessarily the main antagonist,
right? So Corey, this character, he's some years ago, he's babysitting for a family. He's babysitting this 8-year-old kid, maybe.
Yeah.
And
this horrible little boy,
and the kid does a little prank, and locks him in an attic, and then Corey kicks the door open, and the kid falls down some stairs and he dies.
Yeah.
And he doesn't go to prison for it because I guess it's an accident, but he sort of becomes one of the town's pariahs, along with Laurie Strode.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, kid killer, whatever kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's he becomes sort of very withdrawn and odd.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure he was odd already.
Yeah, I didn't like him from the get-go. I'm going to be honest with him before he killed that kid. But yeah, I'm like,
but that really put the nail in the coffin.
Certainly,
the kid's coffin.
It didn't like swing it the other way for me. Let's put it that
right.
way
Terrific.
Either,
okay.
You know, so
okay.
So yeah, I also think it's interesting that like I was like, how could Michael Halloween have disappeared? Like 4 years, this dude is scarred. He's missing fingers. He's enormous. He never takes that mask off.
Yeah.
How could he's been in jail for 40 years? How was this guy surviving?
He seems to have like an unending thirst for killing.
Yeah.
Like how's he not killed?
How has
anybody
he
for
gone
years?
to ground? And then I'm like, oh no, he lives in a pipe. Like he's fucking Super Mario or whatever. Not only that, he lives in a pipe. He lives at a crack in a wall.
Super Mario doesn't live in a pipe.
So you're right.
He lives in the Mushroom Kingdom, I think.
Or the regular world.
Or the regular world.
Yeah. But he lives inside a pipe. Then, in addition to that, in a crack in the wall in the pipe.
Yes,
I think
that's
he
right.
lives in.
Yeah. And consumes bugs, one assumes.
Yeah, and he's doing his murders and whatever he's up to. But he's not what he used to be. And so there's, again, there's this kind of collective madness and the madness of Michael Myers and the town pushing people to their extremes.
And is the... I guess, and the question becomes: is it the town creating people like Michael Myers, and sort of is there something to him that can be passed along to another person? I think maybe, and who will that person be, and what will it become, and that sort of stuff. Yeah, which is an interesting take, I think.
I agree. I don't think it completely comes together. Again, I don't think this is great, but because of the last one, I really thought I would hate this.
Yeah, same.
And I saw that the reviews weren't great, so I'm like, okay. But this is not a stirring endorsement. Don't get me wrong. But I think there's some interesting stuff.
I think it's worth a watch. I think if you have Peacock, or you can when it's on streaming, if you want to get it at home,
or if you have a Peacock and you can maybe trade that Peacock for a DVD copy of this.
Yes,
like
exactly.
a barter system.
That's
perhaps.
right. Yes.
But then you probably need a DVD player if you don't have one. A lot of people don't have those anymore. Maybe got an old PlayStation you could use. I think PlayStation 3. Do they play Blu-rays? Do they, or they just do?
PS4 does.
PS4 at least does. Yeah. Okay. I think the PlayStation 3 does.
Okay, that's great.
Blu-rays. It's interesting. Yeah.
That's terrific.
Anyways.
Keep physical media alive. That's what I say.
I completely
Anyway,
agree.
look, I'm going to say best movie ever. I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
I thought the performances were interesting.
I would say best movie ever with a bunch of like caveats to it.
Okay,
As
right.
in, like, you have to like this stuff. You also have to be aware of what it is. You also have to know that it's not going to be as good as like the best stuff in this.
Yeah, right.
In this, so.
But are there any? I don't think there are any horror movie fans out there who are just like, I know this 10th or 11th movie in this franchise is going to be the best one.
Yeah.
I just know it is. And I know it in my heart.
I think there's some okay kills as well.
Yeah. All right, so should we just do spoilers now?
Spoilers.
Okay, so there's a moment in this where
you see the big metal mashing machine and I'm like, who's going in that machine?
Oh, yeah, right.
Loved it, Mason. I didn't think they were going to pay it off,
I guess the number one question then is, of course, does Halloween end? And in a rare turn, I guess they were like, I think maybe people who watch this franchise are sick of this normal man just coming back no matter what, even though he's received like gunshot wounds to the head and
also
bits of him cut off, and they're like, no, we're going to kill this guy. We're putting him in a metal crusher.
And he's like sick and old.
Yeah.
Like you can... So basically, okay, so the kid, if you haven't seen it and you're just here anyway.
Yes.
The second villain of this is, and for the most part of this movie, is the guy that killed the kid. Apparently wasn't a bad kid initially, but the town pushed him to the brink. And he happens to run into Michael Myers.
In a pipe.
Yes. Where he lives, like with Super Mario. And Michael Myers, when grabbing him, sees in his eyes that the kid is like him.
Yeah, you think so. And
Some kind of almost magical connection.
Well, that's the thing. Initially, I'm like, okay, was this... Because we see... Michael Myers looks in his eyes and we see all kinds of flashbacks to this kid's life, including the death of the kid and all this sort of stuff. And I think that is supposed to be... It's more of a metaphor.
Totally,
like he just sees the pain in his eyes and he goes, okay, well, this is a kid like me.
And Laurie Strode has the same powers. She can identify that in a person in an absolute heartbeat. She can be anywhere. If you're lying on the floor, say, having a nap, where a kid fell from a big set of stairs in a pile of blood. She'll be waiting for you there in the morning. She knows what you're up to, and she doesn't like that you're dating her granddaughter. God damn it!
But initially, she does.
Yeah, she does. I just don't believe that anybody could initially like this guy before he was a murderer.
Yeah, right.
I didn't like him initially, as I said, and when she's dating this guy, I'm just like, no.
Right?
No.
Yeah.
Like I know she's had her own traumas.
I really like him, but he's just occasionally just like freaks out and storms away.
Yeah.
And
he's having a big tantrum all the time. He also nearly gets hit by a car a couple of times.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed that.
But yeah, so his
Also, he doesn't need his glasses anymore. He gets his glasses stepped on. It's the eyes thing, I guess. He's just fixed. He's just
fixed. Well, it's also interesting, like, there were elements of this where I'm like, okay, is this supposed to be a kind of pseudo-mystical thing? Like, it's at one point, Corey meets Michael Myers in the pipe where Mario lives, and then he seems to be sort of encouraged to go out and do evil and murders and what have you. And I'm like, is that sort of mystical? But then he lures a police officer into near the pipe.
Yeah.
And
like a Goomba.
Right, and he helps Michael Myers kill him. And then Michael Myers, Halloween, he seems to like gain in powers. And I'm like, okay, is this mystical or is this...
Do you remember from the last movie, like he does, like he gets powers... It almost seems like he grows in strength from anger from the town.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's what they were going for here.
Okay.
But I don't think it is supposed to be mystical. It's more kind of like he's just feeling pretty encouraged, I guess, at the end of the day. But again, there is this like...
It's like he went to a workshop or seminar on
self-esteem. A Tony Robbins. Yes. A bad guy doing bad things.
Corey is Tony Robbins of murder. That's what he is. He's like, you can do it.
Tony Robbins.
Yes, you can do it, Michael Myers.
And I did enjoy that they go on a little murder spree together. And Corey, he's got his motorbike. And I just would have loved if they had have been seen on the motorbike together. Right. Like Corey's driving them around to their murders.
Take My Breath Away is playing. Yeah. Most of those murders are Corey murders, though. Yeah. And I think that makes sense, as we've mentioned. Michael Myers is getting on in years, and it just doesn't seem to make any sense anymore that this guy...
No. And you can... At this point, you can... If you're, like, fit enough, you could fight him 1-to-1 for a bit.
Very easily, I could. I'd simply not let... I've thought about this. My favorite guy, when talking about any kind of pop culture, is just guy who's built different. I love guy who's built different. I would just... what I would actually do is I'd just put the One Ring on and I'd turn invisible, and then I'd walk past all the Orc forces and I'd put it in Mount Doom.
Absolutely.
I mean, isn't the One Ring made out of the most powerful evil magic in all of Middle Earth? Wouldn't it turn you evil? Nah.
Not me, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon.
Because I knew what had to be done.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd do it for the good of the kingdom.
Yeah, so I reckon I would just defeat Michael Myers very easily.
With the One Ring.
Yeah.
Or invisible and you drop him into Mount Doom.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And my initial thought was, okay, the idea behind this is that evil is contagious for whatever reason. And Corey is going to become the new
I think
shape.
there is something to that, like a mob mentality. We've seen it happen. Right. People get like riled up in a...
Would you say that...
Could I beat Michael Myers? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. If it was both of us together, I'm no chance
Forget
this guy, right?
He wouldn't even show up.
Embarrassing. Yeah. We'd just be doing doughies outside his house. Like, hey.
Come out, Michael.
Come out, bro.
What are you afraid of? We just want to talk.
All right.
we're gonna beat him up.
We're gonna beat him up. I thought my feeling was it would have been more satisfying, and I don't know if you agree with this, if Michael Myers had done more of the killings in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's revealed that evil was transferred to Corey, and at the end, Michael Myers is put in the big metal shredder, and then maybe Corey is there.
I agree.
And he's like, well, I'm going to be Michael Myers now. Michael Myers.
I agree. I think there's still, we'll talk about, I guess we can talk about this now, but I think there will be a follow-up to this. Maybe it will be another reboot in a few years or whatever, right. But I think that this idea of a collective town madness will carry on.
Yep.
And it seems as if they've definitively killed Corey, which surprised me because it felt like that he was the guy who was going to carry on the legacy.
I mean,
of the
they
character.
could have, the notions of how you can die or how long you can live in these movies after you've been stabbed in the neck or shot or whatever.
Well, he was stabbed and then he had his head like twisted all the way around.
Yeah.
Or whatever,
I mean, it honestly would not shock me if at the start of the next one they went, there's just some ADR over that scene with a paramedic going, he's still alive.
Still alive.
And then at the end, and then he becomes the new one.
Yeah. I'm the new one.
I'm the new one.
Then we go to his house.
Yeah.
Come out.
It would also... I would have loved if they'd finally taken Michael Myers' mask off at the end of it and it was just William Shatner. It's so good.
I'll say this. I've heard that people say that the kills weren't great, and I'd agree with that, but there are a couple that are particularly brutal. There's like a blowtorch to the mouth scenario, and there's one where he cuts like a guy's tongue off, and that was pretty like... Yeah. That's pretty grim.
The blowtorch to the head one was
we didn't see
Well, that's the thing, and I wonder if that is a function of, it's on Peacock.
Yeah,
and kids might be watching, so...
I guess, but that tongue thing was pretty...
That was pretty brutal,
Pretty brutal, yeah.
How do you feel about this? We never really understood the motivation behind Michael.
Yeah, look, I don't mind not understanding the motivation, but the problem is the last movie was like he just wanted to stand at that window.
Yes.
And it's like, well, does he not want to do
that anymore? Does he want to stand in this pipe?
So I guess the point is he's an unknowable entity. He's also... It's hinted at, or a few people say it, that he's like mentally disabled. So he's not, he's obviously something wrong with him, but like he's got like a child's brain.
Okay, yeah,
like
sure.
he's not. So it's kind of, you should feel sympathy for him because he's not, he's got like the mind of like a simpleton or whatever.
Right. Okay. Right.
Yeah, which I guess could be true, but because he'd have to if he lived in a gutter for 4 years. Like as well. Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know what
I think audiences will be divided, and I think maybe there's probably a lot of hardcore Halloween purists who are like, the whole point is he's unknowable. Yeah. It's just sometimes in the world there's an evil, and he's just born that way, or it's just evil exists, and sometimes bad things happen to good people or whatever it is. And I think some people, and I think maybe me. And also, I think they have explored the origins
in multiple
where they're like,
sequels.
Okay, well, maybe he's Laurie Strode's brother or any other.
Maybe he likes to stand at that window.
Maybe he likes to stand at a window. Sure.
Yeah.
I kind of given that this is supposed to be supposedly and allegedly the last movie in this version of this franchise, I would have liked to have seen some kind of resolution as to why he is the way he is. But
I think I would have preferred it if in the last movie they didn't say he just wants to stand at that window. But also that's a guess. They don't really know. And they just never did it. As opposed to like kind of go, I guess maybe the window? And then they don't do anything else with it. I thought though, Laurie Strode, I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis is always good, but she does a suicide fake out.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm like, she's an amazing actor. Like, not only as a person, but like within the movie, she's also an amazing. Right. She's always got a little trick happening.
Did you really think I would commit suicide, Michael Myers, and the audience? That's right. Little something for everybody.
I really like that fake out. And I guess it was, granddaughter comes in and is like, oh, no, you murdered this man, or they love or whatever. And that kind of wrapped itself up pretty quickly. But I did enjoy that fight that they had. And, they're more evenly matched because she's in relatively good shape for her age and he's been on fire and missing fingers and shot in the head and all of these different things. And she really just takes her time with murdering this guy. Yeah, like she has him pinned and then she's just like slowly like just kind of cuts
opening up all his veins and arteries,
and just lets him all.
And then the townsfolk, collective madness, take him to the car.
They have a little Halloween parade.
And
they throw his dumb ass in.
Yeah. See, I feel that's the moment where in a movie that was written a little differently, perhaps we'd seen Corey do some of the murders, but not be revealed as the murderer. Or perhaps we see a bunch of murders happening and some are like, well, that's pretty impressive for a guy of that age or what have you.
Yeah.
And at the end of the movie, it goes, okay, we see him get thrown into the crusher, and then we realize and we maybe have some little flashbacks and we see that actually Corey did some of the murders.
Did the mask go in?
No, the mask is on Laurie's coffee table at the end of the movie.
Okay, right.
Yeah. Vicky, just buy another one.
Yeah.
We can 3D print one.
That's true, yeah.
But I think at the end it should have been like, and then we pan over the crowd and Corey's in there and he's like, but I did some of those murders and I'm going to do more murders.
Excuse me?
Nothing. Nothing.
You didn't hear anything about my murders that I did.
Right.
Or didn't do, actually. I didn't do them.
Didn't do any murders.
I didn't do any murders. Yeah, so I think in continuing this, it will be, who else is mad from this town that we can...
Laurie Strode's granddaughter.
You reckon she's going to...
Unless she's over it. Maybe she's
she seemed
I'm
all
fine
right.
now, she said.
She seemed all right. But do you see like Jamie Lee Curtis coming back?
No, I read something, I don't know if this is true, but I read something that, it was definitely on Twitter, so it's probably not true, that apparently somewhere in that contract she's like, no one's ever going to ask me to do it again. Like, I won't do it, I'm not going to do any more, and you cannot ask me.
She gets a little
and I will sue you if I get a phone call.
But do you want to see more of this? Or are you happy for this to stop forever, bearing in mind that it won't?
I would like to see, okay, what would you prefer to see, a continuation of this version or another reboot? I think a continuation of this.
Yeah, I think this, because I like, you know, the characters who are left alive. I like her granddaughter as a character. And I don't mind that idea that maybe she turns evil. But, you know, yeah.
Oh, you know what? She just went on Jimmy Kimmel and on the show she signed a contract saying she'd never do another one.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's fine. Good on her. Okay. She also said that 20 years ago.
She sure did, didn't she?
You know, maybe she will. Mm-hmm. Maybe she bloody will, mate. Anyways, all in all, what a weird set of movies.
Yep.
You know?
You better believe it.
But I'm glad they exist.
About the nature of evil, sort of, probably.
Yeah. Evil dies tonight. And it did this time. Went to a big metal masher, didn't it?
Unless, as you mentioned, you know, there's something wrong with him, in which case.
Yeah.
Just a guy died tonight. A metal crusher. It's really sad when you think about it.
That is sad. Cool.